Hey friend, it's Brandon Gustafson with Assisted Living Investing. Excited to have you here on the channel. Our topic for today's video is, does having a live-in caregiver impact your reimbursement model when you're running a residential assisted living facility? If you're interested in learning about that, make sure you stick around for today's video. Hey friend, I'm Brandon Gustafson. I own and operate 2 assisted living facilities, and I created this channel to help people just like you learn the ins and outs of assisted living. Welcome to Assisted Living Investing. Before I get started on the topic today, which is, does a live-in caregiver impact your reimbursement model? I wanted to remind you to get over to the website, assistedlivinginvesting.net/calculator. We'll link that down below in the video description. It will get you your free underwriting calculator to help you through your investment journey and help you get through all of this so that you can be successful and reach your investment goals. Now let's get into the topic of today's video. Again, we're talking about, does a live-in caregiver impact your reimbursement as you're operating your assisted living facility? Now, to answer this question, I want to make sure you have a good understanding of what the reimbursement model looks like in assisted living. There's a few different ways that you can get paid here. There's private pay, which is something where you're working directly with the person to get paid from them directly. There's Medicaid as well, and I've done videos on this, so make sure you go and watch that. But Medicaid is somebody that qualifies for Medicaid and gets on to Medicaid, and then you get reimbursed from Medicaid. Actually, you get reimbursed by a few different ways. One is a daily rate that is billed to the Medicaid provider, service provider, and that could be Medicaid itself, or it could be a third party. And you also are collecting a rent amount based off of Social Security from your residents, so you get paid twice with Medicaid. Again, make sure you go watch that video, and I go deep into that. And then Medicare. Actually, Medicare, and I've talked about this before as well, Medicare does not work with assisted living. It's actually not a covered service for Medicare, so you want to be aware of that. Long-term care, however, is. If somebody has long-term care insurance, you can get reimbursed for that. It kind of falls into that private pay method of doing things, though. So you just want to be aware that that's kind of what you're working with on that. Now let's get into the impact of how this is going to impact you. If you are a live-in caregiver, it's going to have the impact on your reimbursement model. Let's first talk about private pay. The answer is no. There's no impact on your rates with private pay residents at all. You're able to do this. Actually, you might be able to charge a bit of a premium because people want to have you in the facility with their loved one. And having a live-in caregiver in their mind makes it feel like it's a little bit more secure, and that you're going to give them the love that they need. So no impact at all for a private pay model. Now let's talk about Medicaid. Is there any kind of impact when you are doing this with a Medicaid resident? No, there's no impact here either. You're still going to be able to collect the money that you would otherwise, even without a live-in caregiver. Really what Medicaid is looking for is, are you providing the cares that are necessary? Are you providing the coverage that is needed and required for an assisted living facility? And are you kind of complying with the rules and regulations? If you are, they don't care if you're a live-in caregiver or you are bringing people in kind of a different staffing, a more traditional staffing model. It's not going to matter to them. You're going to be able to track all of the cares that you're providing and make sure that you are doing what you need to do as a caregiver. But Medicaid is not going to have any impact on them either. Same thing with long-term care. Again, it's kind of a part of the private pay world. It's not going to impact any type of reimbursement model there. So there is absolutely no impact in the states, at least that I operate in. You could probably double check this with the states that you're working in, just to be on the safe side. But there's no impact on having a live-in caregiver on your reimbursement model in assisted living. Now, if you are in a state where this does impact that, make sure you comment that down below, because I'd love to hear about it and do a little bit more research. And I think other people would love to hear that type of information as well from you. But now let's get into a part where there is a little bit of a hairy situation, and this is working with families. And I have to be a little bit sensitive here because I think it's a bit touchy for people to think about this. When you think of your loved one, when you think about your family member who is going through this phase of life where they need assistance, your first impression is, I want to help them. I want to provide them with the care that they need. And this can be really difficult for you. because it takes a lot of time to provide appropriate care for people. I was actually, as I was filming this video, my grandpa, who lives across the street from me, and he has Parkinson's, he called me because he needs some help getting the brakes changed on his car. Now he's pretty mobile, but he's getting up there in age and struggling with things and needs help. So he called me, and so I'm going to have to step away from work and step away from all the things that I have going on today and go do that. And I don't mind it. I'm happy to go and serve him and help him out. That's part of the reason why we live here across the street from him. But it's also something that it's time consuming. And if you're doing this on a regular basis, you just kind of have to be careful with that. So can you do this when you are working with family? There's actually a federal law around this. And what it states is that reimbursements cannot be made for services performed by persons who are legally required to care for the individual. And as a family member, you fall under that. You are legally obligated, required to care for that family member. So you don't get reimbursed for it. That's kind of how that works, which can be frustrating for some people that might need that cash. I am not in any way telling you to take advantage of a system here if you were able to get reimbursed. That is not the purpose of this at all. Full stop, period. What I'm trying to tell you is if you are doing this and you're caring for loved ones, you're not going to be able to get paid for the amount of time that you're putting into it, despite how much time it might take you to care for them. It's not allowed. It's a federal law. However, there can be extraordinary care payments that can come through, and that is in the event that you're having to do something that is beyond a normal level of care. The types of cares that you would provide in an assisted living facility is what we would call a normal level of care. If you're going above and beyond that, then there's going to be a level of reimbursement that can happen, and so you want to look into that. If you're in that situation, you need to know a little bit more about this, and you're not getting reimbursed for the time for what you would think is extraordinary care. Make sure you're talking with people and figuring out the process there. I also know that there are a few different organizations that are trying to change the law here. There's a bunch of different advocacy groups. And so if you go online and search for advocacy around caring for family members, something along those lines, you're going to find some of these groups. And if this is something that you're passionate about, I'd encourage you to go in and kind of get involved in those types of groups. Because there's a level of care and a level of love that you have for your family member. And the level of care that you're going to provide is, frankly, probably going to be better than the level of care that they might receive in an assisted living facility because of the amount of love that you have for them. And so, you might feel like you should get reimbursed for the amount of care that you're providing to them. That's something up to you, but I want to just kind of make you aware that while there is no impact on a living caregiver in a facility, there is a bit of a hitch in that when you're dealing with family members. So I want to make sure that you are aware of that. To recap today's video, we've been talking about, does the reimbursement model get impacted in any way if you have a living caregiver at a facility? The answer is no. It doesn't matter if you're private pay, Medicaid, if you're working with someone with long-term care insurance. That's not going to matter at all, with the exception that if you're working with family members, then you're not going to get the reimbursement there with that one. So just want to kind of make you aware of that. If you found this helpful, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you get notified every time we put this content out here. And also get over to the website, assistedlivinginvesting.net. And if you go to the link down below, you'll get access to our free calculator, which will help you out on your investment journey. Does residential assisted living sound interesting to you, but you don't know where to get started? At Assisted Living Investing, we're here to help you through the process, start to finish. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.